Hi guys, this is Crossy of Eclipse Gaming TV and welcome to my Christmas Day little test stream. So I decided, as a bit of a spur of the moment thing, watching the last match of the day, that I would try and get some Football Manager 2019 stuff going and treat myself to a little Christmas present that I wasn't expecting. So I thought we'd give it a go. I have done some stuff for Football Manager in the past. I had a YouTube channel which went pretty well for a little while, actually. Only had 100 odd subscribers, but one of my Dover Athletics series, for example, I think that got about 8,000 or 9,000 views for the first video, which was kind of impressive. I know it's not eye-watering numbers or anything like that, but since I've never gone into this thinking I want to be a full-time streamer, then yeah, I could quite happily take that and got a little audience going. So it'd be quite nice to build that. Few changes as far as YouTube meant that there is no money whatsoever in YouTube. But on the streaming side of things, that kind of suits me a little more, I think. Main reason being time. I work full-time and as of last week got a promotion which is going to mean probably spending more time there than I'd like to on occasions. I'm an esports commentator in first-person shooters, mainly Counter-Strike, which is kind of like a second income. I do some DJing in clubs and some streaming for that, which is kind of like a third income. And then beyond that is my own game playing and my own streaming. So I can't promise anything in terms of a particularly prolific or regular schedule, but if there's some interest, then it'll be nice to keep that one going. I'll upload these to YouTube for my old followers from back in the day, if any of them are still around, and try and push towards Twitch. So I put a little poll up, and while there wasn't a huge amount of votes for it, there was a big interest in me doing a Gillingham series, which I've done in the past. Gillingham are my sort of boyhood team from the age of about 4 or 5, so that would be quite a nice thing to do. And I will do that, absolutely. But for now, while I'm just testing things out, working on a few settings, that kind of thing, we'll leave that alone for the time being and just put in a couple hours now into the team that came second in the poll, Manchester United. So this is going to be an interesting one, and we'll see how it pans out as I drop us into the game. There we go. Good chance this overlay I've got going on might be a little in the way, but let me know about that sort of thing. Let me know about stream quality, things I can change, that sort of thing, and I can improve that for going forward. So what tends to happen, to be completely honest with these things, is with the bigger teams like the Manchester Uniteds, we know that they are in dire straits in real life at the moment, and they've brought in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to try and improve things. Got a win in his first game. Fair play to the guy. But in Football Manager, it tends to not quite work in the same way, in that I've got one of the greatest goalkeepers in the world, David De Gea. I've got Alexis Sanchez, who's going to be dangerous as. And even though Romelu Lukaku has turned out to be a right cart horse since he signed for United for £70 million or whatever it is, in terms of a pure stat basis, he's probably going to show up as being the complete player. So, some of those changes that I'd like to make. If I was dealing with the real life side, I may not need to make now. Same thing, Alvaro Morata will probably go and drop 20 odd goals. It's going to be interesting. So FM17 was the last time that I played. Had a Southampton save on the go, and I think I won the Premier League 3 times with Southampton over 5 or 6 seasons. Made some of the standard signings, Matthias de Ligt from Ajax, also got Kasper Dolberg. And it's interesting how it panned out, actually. Nathan Redmond became, he grew to an unbelievable level and kept his spot out on the right wing throughout. I wasn't able to replace him. Who else did we have? Virgil van Dijk didn't leave. Didn't get any astronomical, eye-watering offers for him. Didn't really need to keep him around, actually. I had Antonio Rudiger, who came in. Manchester City paid for his release clause after a couple of seasons, and he sat on the subs bench the whole time, so probably regretting his move there while we won the title. But I had De Ligt, I had Joe Gomez, who was a beast. A few positions I didn't have to change. My left back stayed the same. I had Ryan Bertrand and then Jake Vokins, the young player who came through. Kasper Dolberg became huge. He was a 20 goal and 10 plus assist player every season. Paired him up with Divock Origi, who was a beast. I think he was sort of 30 goals a season and a few assists as well, but he was feeding off Dolberg and vice versa. Those two were unbelievable. I had Michael Carrick and Wayne Rooney both finished their careers with Southampton and then move into coaching roles. Some good midfielders, James Ward-Prowse, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg stuck around for a long time. Oriol Romeo is kind of like a stand in the middle, kick people up in the air kind of player. Yeah, I've really enjoyed that series, actually. Got into it very much, and I'm surprised I didn't make the move. But I tend not to buy Football Managers unless I'm doing the streaming thing, which I haven't done for a while. We'll see how that pans out anyway. So I need to go through and look at the meetings. So sign young players to the first team, sign high-profile players, play attacking football, and develop players using the club's youth system. Well, that's fine. That's pretty much what my approach is. The sign high-profile players, maybe not so much, but at Manchester United, that's kind of expected. I'll have to do something like that. All right, let's go through. So I'll leave those as we think. Yes, press conference. Let's see. In-squad friendly, no. So I'm just getting rid of friendlies. Okay. Is that something I'm not particularly fussed about? By the way, I haven't thrown the webcam in for the time being, only because I want to see how things lay out on the screen. Plus, my webcam isn't great quality and isn't in the best of positions either. Just to let you know what the deal is on that. So, training induction, tactics express how you want your team to play. Player roles, right. Tactics induction. I'll go through this just so that I know what the plan is. Right, okay, this looks fairly standard then. So I tend to go for control for the most part. Okay. We'll set this for now. I will probably change this formation as we go forward, but it'll do for now. Okay, I know all of this. I'm just going to quit the training. Right, okay, so training induction, skip, because I've got staff dealing with that for me. General training for youth squads, back room, youth, back room. Yep, fine. Okay. New signings and transfer obligations. Cancel fine. So I've got Matic out, Romero, Valencia, and Diogo Dalot. You say it right. Okay. Responsibilities. I've dealt with that. I'm back injured. Put it back in top condition. Luke Shaw back. Let's hope he doesn't get crocked as before. Lacking quality depth at left back, more depth at centre back. Well, yeah, we know that. Best in terms of heading, marking, vision, communication. Okay. All right, well, that's fine. There's more green than there are weaknesses, which I suppose is a positive. Right, so here's the U30s. Talk about moving captains. Don't really want to do that right now. Okay, we'll deal with kick takers at another time. So this all looks fairly similar to what we used to. £82.8 million transfer budget. Now, this is interesting. The thing with FM17 is if you want to do a big spender type series, you tend not to be able to because they tend not to give you the budget. That's way more than I have been used to seeing in some of my recent Premier League saves, which is interesting. So, qualify for the Champions League. Well, we should be able to do that. Reach the final of the FA Cup. Should be able to do that. European Champions Cup, Champions League quarter-final. Yeah, all right, no worries. Let's see. New wage budget, current spend. So, we're well under the wage budget. Got £500,000 that we can still use there. Okay, well, that's all still good to know. Gives me something to work with. Okay, so what are we going to do? I'm just going to confirm that, I think. They do give me a lot of extra money for saying we're going to do more. Now, let's be realistic. We all know what this Manchester United squad's all about, and generally in a lot of places it's not really good enough. So lots of work still needed. Okay, so team leaders. This is interesting. Squad dynamics. Forming the relationships. Kind of like a hierarchy. So De Gea, Pogba and Valencia, most influential players. Okay. I was reading Peter Crouch's autobiography actually, and he's talking about the different social groups that you have in a club. Right, well, let's say Champions Cup. Everyone's all on board with that, which is good news. So on to the next one. So we're going to Asia for our pre-season tournament. Taith Chong on loan until the end of the season. Go be a first-team player. Yep, fine by me. Let's get the media out of the way, and then let's have a look at what squad we got. Okay, so a few extra questions in there, but it's fairly standard stuff. Not changed too much over the last few iterations. So Diogo Dalot could become one of the best players. Could become much better than Antonio Valencia. Interesting. Okay. 5-star potential. So for anyone that doesn't play Football Manager all that much, the stars are in relation to the rest of the talent at the club rather than in the league or in the game, like the whole save. At least that's, as far as I know, that's the way it's been for years and years and years. I don't know if anything has changed in that regard, but I'm pretty sure that's going to be fairly set in stone. So let's have a look at what I've got squad-wise. Sort by position. Okay, so Sergio Romero, squad player in his prime years, 31. Well, David De Gea is going to take some unsticking from there. I will have a look and see if there's a young goalkeeper, 18, 19 sort of time that we can perhaps bring in and develop at some point, but not a #1 priority. So, centre-backs. Now, this is going to be something, if I can get reports, here we go. Let's see what we've got. David De Gea, 4.5 stars, of course. So we've got Phil Jones, Chris Smalling, Eric Bailly, Victor Lindelof, the Swede, 23. Got potential to develop. Can play at right back as well. Okay, not so bad. And then we've got Ashley Young, 32. Theo Darmian at right back. Luke Shaw at left back. Dallow's going to develop. Okay. So defence is going to be something that I need to look at. We need a rotation left back. We could do with a standout centre back, really. I mean, Bailly will develop, Lindelof will develop according to this, but got £80 million to work with. Like Smalling and Jones are fine, of course, but fine doesn't really work for Manchester United. Go to replace Valencia and Ashley Young, who are both ageing at fullback, and neither of them are particularly fullbacks. They started off on the wing and dropped back as they got older and lost a yard of pace. But you know, to be fair to them, they've both adapted to the role quite well. Fred in midfield, new signing. Nemanja Matic will play in the hole. He'll be absolutely fine there. I'm quite happy to have him in that position. And then we've got Ander Herrera, Scott McTominay, young player. I think he's got a few games this season. Marian Fellaini, who was pretty much first name on the team sheet for Mourinho. The kick people up in the air, physical kind of player. As an Everton fan, or Everton and Gillingham fan, I might keep him around, but there's obviously some improvement that needs to happen there. Paul Pogba, well, 4.5 stars. What else can you say about him? We'll try and get the very best we can out of him. Jesse Lingard, there's talk about him wanting to move on. We will probably keep him and play him out on the wing. Andreas Pereira, who I don't know too much about. Juan Mata, well, again, no real words for him. Marcus Rashford, who's going to become the player of the future for us. I might end up giving him some games out on the wing as a rotation option to Alexis Sanchez. Anthony Martial, who didn't really get much of a run in the team. And Romelu Lukaku, who is probably going to be a beast in this game. Even though perhaps in real life you wouldn't say the same. Now, where do I get to? They're down here. Okay, that's fine. So things have moved around a little bit. So let's sort these guys by potential and see who we've got. Angel Gomez. So the Spanish/English. I think he's Spanish is his other nationality. Based in England. Oh, Portuguese. Sorry about that, everyone. So Portuguese. So say best position at the moment is at cam, but can play out on the wing, and that's where I'm going to be looking to push him to. I think probably. See, is he left-footed? I think he's left-footed as well. Where do I find that? Just remembering where everything's laid out where I need it. You know, most of the time you find the information, you know it, and you retain it from there. Is it actually in his position? For either. Okay, fair enough. So a 2-footer. He's going to be very useful for us going forward. And let's see, current ability, what do they say that he can play at? Very well suited to League One football. Okay, fair enough. And then we have also got Chong, who's going out on loan. He's going to get some first-team football at Hearts. And I'm sure I've got someone else, Callum Gribbin. Now, Callum Gribbin is... Okay, so he's 19. He's only 1.5 stars, so they're not giving him the credit that he's got on perhaps some previous versions. Talking about the young Paul Scholes for Gribbin. Seems like he's potentially not going to develop quite into that. But, hey, there you go. And then we've got in the under-18s, Ethan Laird. So I was talking about needing a fullback. So this guy's going to be able to do the job, but not yet. So that's interesting. Got a few players that could develop into something here. Okay, cool. So we've got some youth prospects, but no one that's particularly going to be able to have an influence in the first team yet. Angel Gomez, I may well just shift him into the senior squad and see if I can give him a few rotation games for first team football, that kind of thing. Because I don't think there's that much actually in the way of depth. Let's have a little look from the tactics screen. So I'm going to stick with the one up top for now. Why not? Let me do a quick pick from the tactics screen. Why don't let me do a quick pick at all, actually. Okay, fair enough. Let's go on from there. Right, so let's see what suggestions we have for players. Costa Club, right, let's see. Irving Lozano. Now that would perhaps be something that I'm interested in. Let's see, packages own turn, number of players I would search through. So searching for youth players in England. And we're searching for players in Europe predominantly. Well, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. I'm quite happy with that. Right, so this abilities. Right, okay, here we go. So starting to get the scouting screen looking to something I half recognise. So let's see what players we got recommended here straight away. So having Lozano would be a cheap option. And he would be a player that could do a job. So I'm not surprised that he's on everyone's radars after his performance in the World Cup in particular. Playing out at PSV. So he's a 22-year-old winger, currently operating on a good Premier Division level and would be a good signing. So this gives me a bit of depth as he can play on the left or on the right. Can play up top, but we're not going to use him there. Okay, so in terms of rotation options, so Alexis Sanchez is probably going to hold down the left mid role. Jesse Lingard will probably start out on the right. How do I get Martial in? So this is going to be the problem, because I'd want to get Martial in unless he can play... See, Martial, though, can play up top. And can he play at cam as well? No, not particularly. All right, so I think what I'm going to do is Alexis Sanchez is, okay, at 29. He's not going to be around forever, and he's going to drop at some point. So, let's see. Plus, he's cheap. 25 mil for a winger. Looks like we're going to have a first sign-in. So I'll start going at 20 mil. Having Lozano will be unavailable until 16th of the 7th, 2018. Yeah, fine. Okay, well, let's drop in a £20 million offer and see what we get back from that. Okay, so who else can we potentially consider? So Mesut Ozil, but you see the numbers we're talking about here. Raphael Varane. Now that is exactly what I'd like to do. I've said this before because I used to work with a guy who was a Manchester United fan, and this at the time they were struggling at the back. I said all you need is Raphael Varane, and I said that when he was about 20, 21, mainly before he got too expensive. Speaking of, actually, I know this is the standard, especially for career modes. So we've already got a rating on him. Career modes in FIFA, for example, this is exactly where you start looking. Matthias de Ligt from Ajax, who's going to develop into one heck of a player. So here we go. 2.5 stars. So he's not a million miles off these guys already. And then he's going to develop into... I could be a peripheral figure in the squad, and if not fitting easily into any social group. Well, I mean, I think with the issues that I have at centre-back, not really issues, just in terms of lacking any world-class players. So I've got 80 million to spend. So I could either get, or try and get, what's the guy's name? So I could try and get Raphael Varane. Which would be a huge, huge pickup. Which would make him the best centre-back at the club. By he's going to develop. But if I get de Ligt, he's got the potential to develop further. And then I could bring in Lozano, which gives me another option. Kind of a long-term replacement for, well, not even long-term, just medium-term replacement for Alexis Sanchez until Angel Gomez develops. Yeah, done. Done. Done, done, done. Same thing. Can I get him for 20 mil? 41. Oh, okay. Well, that's a little more than I wanted to spend. See if I can negotiate this down a bit. Okay, so if I can get this done, that's potentially going to leave me 30 mil for another signing. I think that signing would have to be a fullback. So who could I get a fullback? Let's see. Let's have a look at Philip Max as a possible left back. Who else? Actually, I don't really need left back because I'm happy with Luke Shaw. I just need a rotation option, so I need a right back then. Yeah, so let's go into scouting then. Ruben Neves in midfield. Well, that would be a great pickup, wouldn't it? But there's no way I could afford him. They would have me over a barrel. And see, where do you even put the filters in on this? This is... Oh, we go, new search, right. So clear search, new search, and then I want a right back. Let's see who we have in terms of right backs at the moment. Not many scouted. That's interesting. Mason Holgate would develop. Okay. Well, this is going to be a work in progress, but I think I might try and pick myself up a rotation soon to be starting right back. Oh, I don't have an assistant manager. Oh, okay. That's probably why I can't do quick pick then, isn't it? Right, so coaching team improvements, jobs to offer. Well, if I get Gary Neville in, why not, eh? Okay, so let's go and find me an assistant manager. So where do I do staff in here? Staff to here, staff search, new search, staff role, coaching, assistant manager, and employed, no. So I tend to look through for assistant managers for someone that I recognise. And someone I recognise tends to be someone that I've watched, enjoyed watching, etc., etc. So Jari Litmanen, for example, would be a great shout as a name that sticks out. The Finn, still playing for a long, long old time, I think. But right at the top, Dennis Bergkamp. I mean, this has to happen. Although he would come on as a coach. All right. Dennis Bergkamp as a coach. Absolutely. No, I think what I'm going to do, Marco van Basten, David Dunn. It's a brilliant failed step over. Right. What I'm going to do, just quickly, is go to Gillingham. See what Gillingham legends are still about in staff roles. And okay, this isn't quite. Prospect. Here we go. Right, favoured personnel. So legends, Andy Hessenthaler, manager of Dover. I'll leave him there. We've had a few issues of Andy Hessenthaler leaving Dover for other jobs. So Jim Stannard, goalkeeping coach of Bromley. So most of these guys aren't in the game anymore. Cody McDonald's a player, so he's still about. Andy Pennock. Nicky Southall, assistant manager of Dover. Yeah, that makes sense. So most of these guys, most of the guys in this list, I have seen play at various times. For example, Ife Onura used to play up top for us. Scotsman, I think he played. Yeah, I think he managed some obscure nation who I can't remember now out in Africa. Ife Onura, but yeah, he was a brilliant player. Played up top for us. Big guy, and it's always like he put the wrong studs in. He was always falling over, but yeah, he was brilliant. He managed us for a short period, and he looked in such good shape on the touchline that we thought we could have put him up top in a pair of boots. Tony Cascarino wasn't with us for long. Probably the biggest name player to ever put on a Gillingham shirt, aside from Steve Bruce. Adi Pennock, no-nonsense defender. Same could be said for Barry Ashby, who would always punt it into Rose Ed. Leo Fortune West, I was a bit young to remember, but he was playing at striker when I first joined. Chris Hope, who always used to get picked at centre-back, even though I wasn't a huge fan of his. He had a guy called, actually, Ian Cox is a coach at Gillingham. Right. Now, I normally shouldn't go and nick someone from somewhere else, but I feel like if Ian Cox will come on board as my assistant manager, and he will for £1,900 a week, done. So Ian Cox, probably one of my top 3 favourite Gillingham players of all time. The other one probably won't be here. No, okay. So Mamadi Sidibe, the ultimate #1 player from my time at Gillingham. The big Malian striker who, honestly, unbelievable. The amount of times where they would put 2, sometimes 3 players on him to mark him, and he would still win headers. Just unbelievable. And we played up at Stoke away, final game of the season, to keep us up. And Tony Pulis said in his programme notes how much he rated Mamadi Sidibe. Important game where we'd have got relegated if we lost it, and he didn't play. He sat on the bench. I don't think he even came on. And I said at that time, you know what, I reckon Stoke will sign him. And they did. And Mamadi Sidibe went to the Premier League with Stoke under Tony Pulis, and sadly he had a few injury problems. And I think he bought a patisserie in a shopping centre in Stoke. I don't know if he still owns it, but yeah, he was unbelievable. I've never really seen anything like it. And then Ian Cox, who I'm going to try and get as my assistant manager. Let's see. So PSV have accepted the offer for Herving Lozano. So I know I've got other teams around him. Yeah, Ian Cox played at centre-back, and I tell you what, he was virtually unbeatable. I don't know how he did it, but no matter who it was, they'd back into him, and he'd still manage to sort of get a leg around and get the ball away from him when they were trying to hold him off. Virtually unstoppable. Right, so let's see. So no promises for the time being, and rotation option. So let's go with that. Let's see if he's interested in some. Let's go auto-select my squad for that. Marcus Rashford offer a new contract. Well, he's not asked for one yet, so let's leave it alone. Having the Zano contract talk. So he's gone from £14,500 a week to wanting 90 grand a week from us. That's unbelievable. And a £4 million signing on fee. Are you having a laugh? Right, I normally just accept these, I'll be completely honest, but I'm going to try and negotiate a little bit. Okay, let's get that done. So Ajax are interested. Are they going to let me have De Ligt? Okay, so I'm getting both these guys for. No, I'm not getting De Ligt for 20 million. I'm getting him for near 40, aren't I? Right. So existing contract. He's on 11 grand a week. He wants 65. Again, let's get some of these fees down as well. It's just mental. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115 Okay, so managed to take a chunk off of everything there. Des Bergkamp comes on board as a coach. Ian Cox comes on board as my assistant manager. His stats, okay, he's decent defending. Good discipline, good determination. Yeah, okay, fine. Judging player ability as well, 13. So it's kind of useful. So Ruben Neves would be a great pickup. But I feel like I need to strengthen in other areas. Because in midfield, I've got Mata, who can do a job. I've got Nemanja Matic, who are quite happily having a holding role. Got Fellaini, who can do a job. We got Paul Pogba. It's staff next to the club. Release staff member. 23's manager. All right, well. And so I've got Gary Neville as my under-23s manager in the meantime. Because why not, eh? And while we're talking about it, and while I've just done that for Gillingham, so Ryan Keeps manager of Wales, he's not going to come on board. Let's just see. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So at the moment, staying where he is. Oh, I could have got Roy Keane, maybe. So Gary Neville, we've got on board. Ruud van Nistelrooy, under-19s manager at PSV. Interesting. Nicky Butt, head of youth development with us. Van Persie's still playing. Cristiano Ronaldo's still playing. Patrice Evra. Okay. Fair enough. So let me send. So I don't need a left back, I need a right back. Hot prospect. And let's see what we get out of that. Contract set to expire. Is David De Gea's contract up in a year? Okay, I'm going to have to do that now. Win silver in 2019. Well, that's possible. Might not be in the cup or something. Let's see if I can trim this down. $250 a week for the best goalkeeper in the world. Small price to pay, right? And then I think I'm also going to tie down Martial, because I'm not sure I'm necessarily going to keep him long term, but with the value that he adds into the mix, I need to make sure that he's going to be sticking around for the long term. I can't go and lose him on a free. That's the most important thing. Okay. think we should make Isco our top target, but I suspect he may need some convincing to join our club. I mean, I get that. I get that Isco is an absolute beast, but I've just gone and spent money on other players. So there you go. And then midfield isn't an area where we particularly need to, well, it's tough. I mean, we need to improve central midfield. We need to improve everywhere. But when you've got Pogba in there, you just need to have the pieces that will work around him going forward. Then you got Alexis Sanchez ahead of him. Yeah, I'm feeling confident in the choices that I've made here. So I guess I need to go through these scout meetings then. Look at Ruben Neves. Well, if I can get Ruben Neves cheap, League One level, you're off midfielder. Yeah, but I'm very conscious that Brexit is going to happen at some point. So trying to get work permits for Brazilians. Okay, I'll acknowledge that one. 20-year-old centre-back. Look at that potential. Doesn't want to sell, so let's keep scouting for now. Like a Jan Oblak. Are you kidding me? No. Eddie Nketiah, however you say it. I mean, we'll keep scouting him. I have used him before in a previous save, and he hasn't developed quite as well as I would have liked. I think I had an Arsenal save going, actually, and he didn't become John Suter. N'Golo Kante would be a quality signing. Yes, he would, but that's not going to happen. Kevin and Babu. I think the problem I have with him at 23 is you would kind of... Although, operating a good Premier Division level would be a good signing. Has some room to develop, and he would probably, in our team, be stronger than Antonio. Right, okay. Let's go with a stroke 15 mil. Which they've just snapped my hand off for. Okay, maybe I've got a bit too expensive on that one then. Patrick Cutrone. Now keep scouting him. And I'm also, while I'm at it, going to have a look at Kasper Dolberg. Because I think what's going to happen is that Lukaku's going to end up being a beast because of his stats, like the on-paper stuff. Eric Dyer, I'm not going to get him for any kind of money. Antonio Rudiger, 28 to 50. I'm going to disregard, because I've already done something at centre-back. Tom Davies, absolutely love to get Tom Davies, but 57 million, nah, no chance. Emery Moore. Let's say Emery Moore is striker. Right midfield. Jesus Perez, Mexican midfielder. Got potential. Zivkovic. Out of him, winger. Let's keep him on the list for now. Amrabat 24 midfielder. Nah, not going to do that. Okay. Yeah, so the Antonio Rudiger thing, and I think this is going to be something that I can talk about going forward as well, is I have certain things that I like in players, certain qualities, etc., etc., and the qualities of Antonio Rudiger that he brings to the table, they're not something that I'm a huge fan of. What's the best way to put it? I think the better thing is to talk about maybe some of the other positions. For example, fullbacks, I want my fullbacks to be able to defend. And if they can give us something going forward, then hey, that's an absolute bonus. But you know, that is my primary objective. And I know that it's down to one guy that can do everything up top now, but I quite like the big bloke, little bloke combination in a 4-4-2 formation for my strikers. So I think like a Peter Crouch, who wins all the knockdowns, and then someone like a Jermaine Defoe, who's a quick little fox in the box that hoovers up all the knockdowns and sticks them in the back of the net. Right, so Rashawn Williams, yeah, you can have him on loan. Absolutely fine by me. Like lace pressure. So every signing I've got is saying that there's late pressure to get things over the line. Okay. Seems quite predictable, quite scripted, this. Loan offer for McTominay, key player. Cardiff. Well, absolutely. If you're going to be playing every game, then you can go ahead, my friend. Okay, so Philip Max, yeah, he's not going to be good enough. Chilwell, again, not going to be good enough. Serge Aurier. See, that's interesting because a couple of years ago they were talking about Serge Aurier as potentially being one of the best right backs in the world, and you know, he's gone to Spurs, hasn't really got that much game time, and hasn't materialised into that player that we were perhaps expecting he was going to be. I didn't watch him at the time; it was more from seeing what people were saying on FIFA, etc. So, new contract for Martial. New contract for David De Gea until 2023. So let's deal with the whole issue of him going to Real Madrid, shall we? I mean, if you want to give me 120 million, I could probably go and get Jan Oblak and have 30 mil in the pocket. But yeah, there you go. So it's good to get that in the bag. That's one less thing to worry about. And then if I can get it's on a move delayed due to work permit. Going to find out on Monday. And O'Hara injured, but not for long. So I think this is going to be a good little start. I'll have a new starting right back in Kevin Mbabu, who's going to develop into, well, he's still got some growth to do. It's going to be good. I've got Martial signed to a deal. I've got De Gea signed to a deal. I've got De Ligt, who is now going to sign for £33 million all in. So that's going to give me a centre-back that can play a part now and will become the